So one of the biggest mistakes that animators make is thinking that what works in one situation will work in another situation. And a very typical example of that is exaggeration, squash and stretch, and arcs, right? So when you learn these things, you're like, awesome, I've learned squash and stretch, I've learned arcs, I'm going to put them in my animation, and you just start putting them where they don't belong. What should be a subtle, restrained performance ends up being like this crazy orchestra of animation principles, right? And then you kind of lose you lose everything because people are just watching this animation and not watching the performance. And that's a typical example. But another example is in the rigs that we use. It's very easy to think what works on one rig will work on the next rig. And something we're told, which I stand by, is to try to use as little controls as possible. And that works on some rigs. And if you're not aware you need to use more or to break that rule, you may not get the most out of your rig. So I just want to show you a real practical example of that here. So as you can see, we have Lupin and Sura on the screen. These are two rigs available at Lupin House, and they've got pretty similar mouth structures. So for example, they've got the three main controls here, and then they've got a bunch of micro controls to get more detail, as you can see here, and then they have the two corner controls. Now what you will find with Lupin is to get a pucker shape, it's very easy. All you do is you rotate the jaw just the tiniest bit, and then you grab the mouth control at the top here, and then you bend it out, and you do the same thing with this one, right? And you can see we're getting really nice deformations. And then you grab the sides, bring them down a bit, you can see we get this nice curve, and then you can do the same, bring the sides here up a bit if you want, and just open the mouth a tiny bit more. And then we can bring the corners in to create that pucker shape, right? So you can see here, right, you've got a pretty nice, just straight out of the box pucker shape. You have nice curves. We can close this gap here a bit more. I'm not going to do it on both sides, but there you go. You can see how you can close that gap. And so you've got a nice pucker shape, and it's really appealing. It's a nice shape. Now if we come over to Sura and we do the exact same steps, so we open the rig a little bit, open the jaw, okay, and then we bend the lip out with the top control. You can see here it's already influencing a lot less of the mesh, so you might start thinking it's not going to work here, but it gets pretty close, especially this bottom one. So you can see here we've bent the two lips out. Now we bring these down. Okay, and then we bring this one up. And then the last thing we have to do is bring in the corners. Alright, so now you've got this nice pucker. And you might think that that's cool, that works. But if you look at Lupin's, he's got nice curves, very clean curves, very nice. The Sura, with the same controls, it looks like she's got nice curves, but they're actually quite straight. It's like a triangle mouth. And so to get the same kind of desired result, you actually have to go to the microcontrollers and then just pull them out just slightly. You see that? And then it gives us a nice, a nice pucker here. Like that. So now we have an appealing pucker, but we had to go a little bit deeper in the rig. And if you're kind of stuck in the ways of thinking that you should only use as little controls as possible, then you're not going to think to clean up these shapes and actually make them more appealing like that. So I just want this video to serve as a reminder that when you're animating, rigs are all different, and what works on one rig may not work on the other, and you may have to use a lot more controls, even though it's against the idea that you should use as little controls as possible. And then when you can't get the desired result, you have other things like this polish tool where you can sculpt. Let's just say for whatever reason you weren't happy with this mouth shape. So we're going to hit sculpt, and then we're going to go to our sculpting tools. Right, so if you want to grab just this part of the lip and just make it a tiny bit more rounded, you can do that. You see that? So you can really create any shape that you want, regardless of the capabilities of the rig. And what you can do is, if the rig's not giving you everything, you can always achieve it with this tool here. So there's no reason at all that you should not have beautiful, appealing mouth shapes. Now, if you're not sure how to create appealing poses or mouth shapes or anything like that for the face, I have created a course exactly for this reason. So basically, it starts with 17 principles of how to pose the face, so everything that makes a pose appealing, from stuff like I've just showed you now to how to position the eyes and the brows. Everything's covered in the first 17 lectures, and then we move into implementing those lectures and actually building a pose library. So you see in a real world example how all these principles are used to build a library, how to manipulate the face and change everything, and use all the controls. And then we take all the poses that we build and we animate a character test. And that character test is pretty long, it's pretty cool. I'll play it here on the side. And normally we sell this course for $699, but until the 21st of June, we're having a huge sale and we're just making it $79. So you save over $600. It's the biggest discount we've ever done on this course, and we just want to give it to as much people as possible. And the difference that the course has made in our students' work has been astronomical. So I really hope that if you're keen to really master this facial animation, then you'll check out this course while it's on sale. The coupon code will be in the description, and I can see you in the course. You can chat to us on Discord, you can join our server. I'll put a link to the Discord down there as well if you want to join it. If you have any questions on anything I've just mentioned here, or any questions at all about Lupin House, you can message me. I'll put my email below, and just send me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, happy animating and rock and roll.